Objective 7, which states AUTOSAR shall support the collaboration between various partners. Different automotive software companies develop different components that build the car network. It's the OEM's responsibility to ensure that all the components that's purchased to build the car is working as expected in the network. To ease the way for the OEMs, AUTOSAR shall define standards such that OEMs shall not worry much on the compatibility between the components built on AUTOSAR standards. AUTOSAR shall ensure that the product built by collaboration of different AUTOSAR software components from different partners does fulfill its objective and are of great quality. With this overview in mind, let's look into the main requirements. Firstly, let's look into the requirements which are already covered in the previous objective, which are also relevant for this objective. From project objective 1, we have the following relevant requirements. Firstly, AUTOSAR shall provide a standardized software interface for communication between software components. Then, AUTOSAR shall provide standardized basic software. Lastly, AUTOSAR shall support hierarchical design methods. From project objective 4, we have following relevant requirements. AUTOSAR shall provide means to describe a component model for application software. And lastly, AUTOSAR shall provide formats to specify all aspects necessary to integrate a software component on an ECU. You can watch Project Objective 1 and 4 videos to understand these requirements. I'll be touching on the new requirements associated with the Project Objective 7 in this video. Firstly, let's look into the set of requirements which are defined considering software functionality. First one, which states AUTOSAR shall provide means to describe interfaces of the entire system. Well-defined interfaces are the key for exchangeability, reusability, and the basis for freedom of interference. Decomposition on interface level is essential for an appropriate clustering and partitioning in software components. Hence, AUTOSAR shall provide means by which standard interfaces are defined which can be easily clustered to bring in high degree of reusability and in turn provide encapsulated picture of the system which is easier to understand. Which brings us to the next requirement which states AUTOSAR shall support the principle of information hiding. By providing well-defined interfaces and by enabling minimum access to external component, AUTOSAR shall provide protection mechanism for internal information of software component. Any modification within the software component shall also be hidden as long as the interfaces are working as expected by the external component. This gives great flexibility to the component supplier to have software bug fixes released after doing standard testing on all the interfaces. Looking into the next requirement, which states AUTOSAR shall use established software standards and consolidate de facto standards for basic software functionality. Historically, OEMs and big Tier 1 have created proprietary standard code solutions with partly different functionalities to achieve a common standard which is accepted and used by all the participating partners. These solutions shall be consolidated by AUTOSAR. If an agreed common solution supported by OEM and Tier 1 already exists, this solution shall be adopted by AUTOSAR in order to ease reuse of existing software. The reference solutions for basic software functionality shall be consolidated to a single standard. Whenever and wherever possible, AUTOSAR shall make use of existing standards provided that they meet the given requirements. Next set of requirements are based on the work share model between different partners. First one states that AUTOSAR shall provide naming conventions. Naming conventions shall be defined in specification documents to achieve a standardized and consistent documentation. This is a good documentary practice which helps for better understanding, reduces ambiguity, and improves cooperation. Hence, AUTOSAR shall define naming conventions for internal and external symbols created and used by the sender. Looking into the next requirement defined on the exchange format, which states AUTOSAR shall provide data exchange format to support work share in large inter and intra-company development group. A typical AUTOSAR system is expected to carry a huge number of signals per vehicle. To develop vehicle description in this size, a good organization of work share is needed. To support such organization, well-defined concepts for information exchange are required. Hence, AUTOSAR shall support the work share in large development projects via well-defined exchange formats. Looking into the next requirement, defined on roles and activities, which states AUTOSAR processes shall provide a pre-definition of typical roles and activities in a work-share model. Work-share requires visibility and common understanding of specific roles and activities in the design process. Roles could be, for example, vehicle architect, domain architect, ECU integrator, function designer. Roles could also be found related to different disciplines like static architecture, dynamic architecture, communication architecture, etc. Typical activities could be, for example, software partitioning, mapping of software to ECU, configuration of basic software, etc. This definition also serves the understanding of workflow for the design of tools. Individual roles and activities might be combined to one person in the later application or distributed differently. Application of later workshare distribution is a matter of individual contracts between the parties. On a similar line, we have the next requirement which states AUTOSAR process shall support roles and rights in a workshare model. Distributed development needs definable responsibility. AUTOSAR shall support a general approach to express roles and their rights to create, access, or modify AUTOSAR descriptions. Hence, the definitions of roles and the corresponding rights guide the user while editing AUTOSAR descriptions and reduces the risk to introduce errors. Lastly, we have the following requirement which states AUTOSAR shall provide mechanisms to protect intellectual property in a shared development process. Integration of software of different suppliers requires exchange of software, especially software code, between the different parties involved. Thus, AUTOSAR shall provide mechanism to safeguard software. AUTOSAR shall ensure a smooth integration process that at the same time protects intellectual property of companies involved. On the whole, with all these requirements, AUTOSAR is making best efforts to fulfill Project Objective 7. AUTOSAR shall support the collaboration between various partners. Upcoming videos, we will look into other objectives of AUTOSAR. Thank you.